This is Harmeet Dillon, who was an attorney out here, still is an attorney, but she was out here in California. She was a big leader in the Republican Party, and she is now on the in the Trump administration working on civil rights issues. And I wanted to play a piece of an interview that she was just a part of where she talks about the Second Amendment, and then I'll talk about the relevance of that.
The new project I've got going in the Civil Rights Division, to the surprise of many people on both sides, is the Second Amendment. Who's protecting the Second Amendment in the federal government? Prior Republican administrations haven't paid a lot of attention to affirmatively doing that. But, you know, in the wake of clear guidance from the United States Supreme Court protecting our right to, own and use firearms in most circumstances throughout the United States, city after city, state after state are eviscerating those rights. They're mocking the Supreme Court by passing laws that make it virtually impossible. Colorado just passed a law that is extremely onerous and imposes a financial burden on gun ownership. California is wink, wink, nudge, nudge, allowing you to apply for concealed carry in multiple places, and then they don't staff the departments that do the interviews. DC, I came here to DC. I have a firearm. I'm a firearms owner. I inquired about the process. It's months before I can get an appointment with the chief of police or the police department to even apply to exercise my Second Amendment rights. Well, I'm exercised about that. I'm not happy about that, and I might be doing something about that. New York has a host of laws that are different in upstate New York and different in New York City, and they all violate the Constitution. So we will be working together to make this a focus of the Civil Rights Division, challenging state law that violates fundamental civil rights in the Civil Rights Division.
So that is the executive branch, but let's go to the legislative branch. Are Republicans about to screw up your gun rights again? So the legislative branch obviously is Congress, and there were two bills that would benefit gun owners greatly that were blocked by Republicans. One was the Protection of Hearing Act, which is H.R. 404, and the other bill is H.R. 646, and that would remove short-barreled rifles and short-barreled shotguns from the NFA, which basically means that suppressors and any kind of firearm with a short barrel, like a rifle or shotgun with a short barrel, I should say more accurately, they're heavily regulated and taxed for no reason. You have to pay this tax just to own one, and it doesn't benefit anybody anywhere other than the federal government. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if you go pay taxes on gas, it makes sense that those taxes go to help the roads that you're driving on. Makes sense. If you're paying taxes on your property, your house, for example, then they use those taxes to improve your community, educate your kids, that sort of thing. Makes sense. Well, what does this tax on short-barreled rifles go towards? Do they send you a cleaner for your short barrel rifle? Or, how is this benefiting gun owners at all? It's not. It is simply put there to harass and make things difficult. So you could finally own a suppressor in most states, unless your law restricts you, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. And it would allow you to own a rifle or a shotgun with whatever barrel length you feel is best for your self-defense, not what the government feels is best for you, but what you feel is best for you. And the suppressor bill didn't even eliminate every regulation. It basically said that, hey, if you're going to buy a suppressor, just go through the same steps you'd take that you would when you purchase a firearm. They'd still require a 4473. They'd still require a background check. But it is stuck in the Ways and Means Committee, which is completely and totally run by Republicans. So I got to tell you, you cannot any longer, don't vote for Republicans, don't vote for Democrats, vote for people who are pro Second Amendment. That's what I get so much flack from people when I focus in on Republicans and say, hey, look at how anti-gun this person is. You can't simply vote for a Republican and assume they're going to protect your gun rights. And this is proof positive of everything I've been saying for years. So let's take a look. Who's on this Ways and Means Committee, which, by the way, is a very important committee in Washington, D.C. So first off, it's chaired by Jason Smith out of Missouri. This isn't some left-wing crazy Californian. This is a rock-solid, quote-unquote, red-blooded, meat-eating Republican from Missouri. and he is part of the. He is the chair of this committee that's blocking your gun rights, the expansion of your gun rights. There's a guy named Buchanan out of Florida that's Republican. There's a Republican named Kelly out of Pennsylvania. There's a Republican named Schwerkert out of Arizona. Everybody tells me that Arizona is this pro-Second Amendment organization. Meanwhile, they have an anti-gun governor and 2 anti-gun senators. And now they have a Republican who's blocking your ability to own whatever rifle and shotgun you want and whatever suppressor you want to put on it. You can look at this. There's a guy named Arrington from Texas, another guy named Smucker from Pennsylvania, Miller from West Virginia. This isn't some wacky left-wing California issue. This isn't some Democrat issue. These are the Republicans. You're looking at the faces of the Republicans from across the country that are standing in the way of what they said they would do, and that's protect your Second Amendment rights. Harmeet Dillon, the clip I showed, is a huge Republican leader here in California. That weren't my words when she said that nobody's protecting your Second Amendment rights in Washington, D.C. She is quite literally the first person to do that. Now, we've said before that Trump is the most pro-Second Amendment president probably ever, at least in the modern age. But that's also a statement on how bad the other presidents have been. At least he said, hey, Harmeet, come here and help us with civil rights, which include the Second Amendment. And again, she is a Republican leader. She actually was the leader of the Republican Party, the statewide Republican Party in California. And she's saying nobody has ever protected your Second Amendment rights here in Washington, D.C. She agrees with me. So every Republican that's ever come up to me or emailed me or texted me and said, hey, Mike, you're totally wrong about the Republican Party, go argue with Harmeet Dillon, the leader of the California Republican Party, who is now a civil rights attorney for the Trump administration in Washington, D.C. She's the one that's saying no one's standing up for your rights. The people in the Ways and Means Committee, the Republicans from across the nation, are the ones that aren't standing up for your Second Amendment rights. It's completely ludicrous that these aren't passing with flying colors. It shouldn't even be a speed bump. They are such reasonable repeals of restrictions. It's unbelievable to me that this would even, that it isn't done. It isn't a done deal already, but it's not. And it's because of Republicans. Let me repeat that. It's because of Republicans. So what I'm asking you to do is contact them. And I think the person we should focus in on is this Jason Smith character, who, by the way, was NRA endorsed. And that's not the NRA's fault. The NRA vets, and they do a good job. It's his fault for courting the NRA and lying to him and saying the Second Amendment's important. So let's put a little pressure on him. Jason Smith, his number, we'll put it in the notes. His number is 202-225-4404. Again, 202-225-4404. 4404. So contact him directly, Jason Smith. Tell him how disappointed you are in him as the chair of the Ways and Means Committee not passing H.R. 404 and H.R. 646 so that you can use a suppressor to protect your hearing, and you can decide what barrel you're going to use on your rifle and shotgun. But most of all, like I said, vote pro-Second Amendment from now on.
I just had some fun times with the suppressors this last weekend. I was when I was in Colorado at the Girl in a Gun National Conference, I got to shoot, 8 or 9 different types of Bowers suppressors, and I will say that it was so fun. And it's not just, it's great for your hearing, obviously. It's way less noise. I didn't even need ear protection on for some of the suppressors because they were so quiet. The sound of the trigger being pressed, the click of the trigger, was louder than the gun actually firing, which was crazy to me. I was not expecting that. The sound of the projectile hitting the steel plate was louder than the gun going off.
Yeah.
I was like, this is very different, obviously, than what we're used to. But not just for the hearing protection, it's also great because there's way less recoil. The recoil management was significant. There were 2 different suppressors that are kind of, I guess, designed for that purpose on regular 9mm handguns. And it brought it down from, what would be a, Glock 19 kicking a little bit to something that I would feel very comfortable teaching, somebody who's either elderly and has arthritis, or somebody who's really young and has smaller hands, right? Like it allows you to use these firearms in a way that's less intimidating for people, but also safer for, people who have lack of strength or have small hands or are young and just starting out learning. So
it's safer for people that are small stature, maybe not as strong as a Navy SEAL,
yeah.
And it protects hearing. How many old hunters do you know? I say old, I mean like 50s, 60s,
Yeah.
How many older hunters do you know who have hearing aids?
Yep.
All of them.
All of them.
I think a better question is how many do you know that don't?
That don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By age 60, if you've spent your life hunting, you probably have a hearing aid.
Yeah.
Well, and just firearms instructors in general. If you're in a room with a bunch of instructors, you're all saying, "What? Huh?
Yeah.
Repeat that." Right? Like we're all slowly going deaf. So.
All right. Well, there you go. I wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. I wanted to make that point about how important it is for us to protect the Second Amendment. I got to tell you, I think the message here is Republican Party, right now, you don't have us at the midterms. You do not have gun owners. You have not proven to yourself to gun owners that we should follow you going into the 2026 midterms, and you don't have a whole lot more time to prove yourself. I think that's the message that maybe we should start making real clear, to a lot of these folks involved, especially those in vulnerable seats. So, all right, okay, that's your legal and legislative segment. Hey, thanks for watching Gun Owners Radio. I hope you loved that clip. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and follow us on social media, and check out our website at gunownersradio.com.